925 here, Big 550 KTRS. Also, don't forget, you can watch us on TV at KPLR Channel 11.2. That's Channel 187 on Charter. Also at STLtoday.com. Go to the Opinion tab. Senator John Danforth is our guest. His first full-length conversation since that homily at Tom Schweik's funeral just 1 month ago. Senator, you mentioned bullies, and you mentioned the politics of today. How is it worse today than it was when you were in the arena with your fights? Is it worse today, and how and why?
Yes, politics has always been a contact sport, but it has never been anything like this. For example, the radio commercial that was run against Tom Schweik that called him a little bug. Nobody would have thought of calling somebody a little bug back then. And the radio commercial was modeled after the TV program House of Cards. So it's as though House of Cards, which is the most sinister fictional presentation of what politics is now the standard. That's the way it's done. I used the word bullies in that homily. I think that it speaks to that kind of politics. But let me just give you a couple of just examples from my own life in the last few days, two conversations I had. One was with a very active Republican in our state. This person called me up, and basically his message was, I really appreciated what you said in the homily. This had to be said. Politics is rotten. And then he said a couple of times in the same phone call, he said, I'm not going to get into it myself because I'm scared of these people. I'm scared of these people. So people who are active in politics, they're scared about what can be done to them. And then, just within hours, I had another conversation with a man who's not so politically active, but he's certainly interested in politics. And he said to me, I would never get involved in politics because I have a son who's gay, and I'm afraid what they would do to him. Now, these are two people who are scared. They're afraid of involvement in politics because of bullies. They're afraid of bullies. And bullying has become a profession. I mean, what's happened in politics is that enormous amounts of money are put in to politics from a very few sources, and that money goes in part to hire consultants, and the consultants come in a couple of forms, and one form is people who do opposition research. Now, the opposition research people, their business, what they do for a living is root around and dig up dirt on people. And then they're the media consultants, and their job is to spread the dirt. So in this way, politics has changed. It is much more negative, and it is much more scary, really, than it has ever been.
To prove your point, I think of all the people and all the disagreements over the last month, I think everyone agrees that radio commercial was meant for one person and one person only, which was Tom Schweik.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard that, and it makes sense because, as I said earlier, what bullies do is they try to find people who are weak, or they try to find weaknesses, and then they pick on those weaknesses and try to use them to their advantage.
We've had Citizens United with the Supreme Court open the floodgates for money. We've also had in the state of Missouri uncapped donations. Do you see that as part of the problem that helps create this environment?
I do, and I'm a kind of a latecomer on campaign finance reform because I've always thought the main problem in campaigns may be elsewhere, but I do believe that when an individual can spend, can put in maybe 50%, 75%, some say even 90% of a candidate's funding, that really is pretty close to buying somebody. And what they're doing is not just putting money into the candidate's own campaign, they're hiring these consultants. They are paying these people whose job it is to destroy people. That is the dirt diggers and the dirt spreaders in the consulting world. So, yeah, I think it's a big problem now because the Supreme Court has decided the matter. I don't think there's much that can be done about it, except be aware of it and try to understand where the money is coming from. Maybe have better reporting laws so that people have a clearer idea of the source of money, but follow the money. I mean, for example, that particular commercial, well, what was this anonymous committee, and where did that money come from, and who is the funder of it? I think that those are the sort of questions that should be asked.
This is a little inside baseball, but some people say that because you can give directly to the candidate or you can give unlimited funds to these committees, it's weakened the party structure. And when you don't have the party structure, you've sort of lost control of the message, and you have these rogue entities out there saying anything they want.
I don't know that you've lost control of the message. I know that the candidate is at a disadvantage at the federal level. State level, there's no limit what can be given to candidates. Federal level, there is. So the candidates operate under a limitation, but the independent committees do not. So that is not a level playing field.
Senator Danforth, you want to stick around for one more segment? I got a couple more questions for you.
Sure.
Senator John Danforth with us, speaking for the first time in a longer format about what has transpired over the last month. His last conversation with the public was at the homily of the funeral of Tom Schweik. We'll come back and talk more with Senator Danforth here on the Big 550 KTRS and KPLR.